I'm going to show you how to make resin lip tube trays. So this is the finished product, and it's for putting your lip tube trays, your lipstick tubes in to fill all at once. Excuse my filthy grotty apron. When I'm working in the studio with resin or silicone, I just use the same one all the time because it can get a bit yucky. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a part A and part B resin. So these ones I get from Barnes, and it's Easycast part A and B, and I get it in really big containers I've got over here, and I decant it into these bottles because it's a little bit easier to use these in the one litre bottles. So we've got a set of scales set up. I've got my silicone moulds ready to go. So the first thing I'm going to do is use a Ease 2300 release agent. Give it a shake before you use it. This isn't actually really necessary for all of them. However, once you've used them a few times, they can start to stick, and once they stick, they'll damage your mold. So just a really light spray of the release agent will assist the resin master to come out. Now on your scales, I'm just going to tear them out, and I've got my little cheat sheet here. So for me to make one of these trays takes a total of 185 milliliters. I can do 2 pours at once at a total of 370 milliliters. So I've got it written down here. You'll use a little bit more of one than the other, and they're kind of interchangeable. If I find I've got more part A left, I use 100 ml of part A and 85 ml of part B. Okay, let's get started. So you're going to use a container. I have one that I always use for resin, and it ends up getting up a little bit, fill your waste a little bit each time you do it. But I'm just going to tear that off, and I'm going to pour 2 of these at once and then a third because I've got 3 of them. So first of all, I'm going to measure out 200 mils of the part B into this container. 170, 80, 89, 90, 92, 95, 6, 7, 8, 9, 200 mils, and put the lid straight on, because if you get a drip of part A into part B or vice versa, you're going to make the whole lot set. I've already shaken these because I've been using them for a while today, but you need to shake them before you use them each time you make a new batch. Okay, and I'm just going to top that up until I get it up to a total of 385 milliliters. 320, 40, 50, 60, 70, 78, 85. Okay, put the lid on it. Now I use a plastic scraper that I keep exclusively for this. You want to make sure that they're mixed together very, very well. It's a reaction that's going to take place by the 2 of them mixing, and it's going to get really, really hot, and then you're going to be able to unmold them. So just make sure you go all the way around the outside of the container and right around the base as well. Now you only have about 30 seconds more pot life, so you want to work fairly quickly. Scrape that off, rest it down on something, and begin your pour immediately. So in this case, I need to fill them both fairly evenly. So I'm just going to fill one and then move on to the next, and then I'm going to come back to the first one again. And that allows it to come all the way to the end as I'm doing my pour. Now you'll have a few air bubbles in here as you're doing your pour. Don't worry about that too much, but do make sure it doesn't go over the the silicone plugs, because otherwise you'll seal the back of it, which is not what you're after. Okay, nearly finished. Okay, take your scraper. It's expensive, this product, so you don't want to waste any of it. The drums that I get it in, they're, I think, 20 litre drums, and they cost about $800. So they're really quite expensive. Okay, now, I just use a tissue to wipe the bulk of that off so I get a few more uses out of my scraper, and then we're just going to flame it. So using a electric flame, just go over any of those air bubbles and pop them. Now that's already setting. I can feel the heat coming off it, so you have to work really quite quickly here and make sure you pop those bubbles, because once it starts to set, they're going to become trapped in there and they're going to be lumps in your finished product. So you want to make it as smooth as you possibly can. Okay, just checking there's no more bubbles. Just look in the light across the top of the surface. Okay, and that's our first two poured. Now, because I've got 3 moulds, I'm going to pour a third one, so this will be a smaller pour this time, and that'll give the first 2 a chance to set while we're talking. They don't take very long to set, maybe about 10 minutes, and we'll be able to unmold them at the same time. So let's begin. Again, tear it. Now it will have changed because there's always a little bit left in there, so it was sitting at 6. So this time I'm going to use 100 mils of part B, 70, 80, 95, 97, 98, 99, 100, okay. And 85 of part A, giving me a total of 185. You'll notice that I didn't tear in between. The reason that I didn't do that is I know I'm just going up to 185. So as long as it gets to that, once the first one is measured, it's probably okay. All right, taking our scraper. Now I'm not sure if you can see in the video or not, but they're already turning white. So they're turning from clear to white, and there's a little bit of clear around the nodules in them where it's still setting, but the rest is already set. It's already gone white. It's not ready to unmold yet because it will still be sticky in some places, but it's certainly getting there. So it's not a very long process. Okay, mix this one through thoroughly. And I probably need to make some more silicone trays so I can do a few more at once. We go through an awful lot of these in our business. Okay. And begin our pour. This time it's going to be a little easier because I've only got the one of them. And you could just stay pouring at one end. I do it a lot, so I tend to pour from both ends. I've got a fairly steady hand with it, and it just makes it a little bit quicker. So I've got a little bit more time to flame it out. And going back to the beginning and slowly, you want to work sort of thoroughly but slowly because you just don't want the resin to cover the plugs that are out of your silicone tray, or you won't be able to use it. And the silicone trays do break down after a while, and they get to a point where you can't use them. But if you use the release agent, you'll get a little bit longer out of them as well. Okay, let's flame that one out. So move that out of the way. Let me see. Sorry I haven't got a close-up of these, but I'm just moving the flame over the top so that it's getting all the bubbles. Now I have actually covered one of the silicone pegs. I've got gloves on, so I'm just going to wipe it off before it sets. And this is why my apron is disgusting. I wipe it on here. I keep, this is my designated trashed apron. I don't wear it when I'm in the studio or the showroom, but when I'm in the studio, the non-public studio, the one at my home here, I don't mind. Just wear the same grotty apron. I don't see much point in destroying another one. Okay, so let's have a look at that. All right, so this one is clear still at the moment, but these ones are already set. I would probably go away and leave them for about 10 minutes or so, maybe 15. If you leave them for an hour, it doesn't really matter. You can leave them as long as you like, but I'm needing to pump a few through and get them out fairly quickly. So let's have a look if this one's ready. Yeah, not really. You see, it's still quite, see how it's quite bendy at the moment. We might be able to pop it anyway, but it's too soft. I would, if I was working in the studio, I'd leave it longer, but let's pop it out just to show you. And you'll see that's my finished product, and it really is quite flexible and bendy at the moment, but that's okay. I'll put it down flat on the table and press it down, and in next to no time it'll go hard like these ones I've just prepared. So they're quite firm, these ones, and they're ready to use. Now, with the first one that I used today, I didn't shake the part A, and I'll bring it up and give you a close-up, and you can see, I think you might be able to see, it's got bits of yellow all the way through it, which obviously is not the best. It ruins the look of it. And I do find with the part A, sometimes you'll get that crystalline yellow in it, and you'll need to just strain it through a fine piece of fabric or a sieve just to get rid of that. Okay, let's move on to the second one, and I won't touch the third one because it's still liquid, but let's have a look at the second one. Again, it's also too soft to be really moved. It's quite bendy at the moment, but we'll just pop it out anyway, just to give you an idea. And you can see the flexibility in that it's quite soft. So we want to get it onto the table fairly quickly and press it down so that it stays nice and flat. And then of course, when these are finished, this is only stage one. Now, these ones have quite a sharp lip all the way around the edge of it, and this here, I'm going to take them out to the workshop and put them under the electric drill, and we're actually going to drill out each and every one of those holes just quickly, just to get the burrs off them. And then we have a special scraping tool. We run that along the edges of them to make sure that they're not sharp, and round out these little holes so that they're lovely and smooth, but you don't want to indent them because the tubes won't fit in them. You just want to trim them so that the tubes still fit in there nice and snugly. And there you go. Using, again, the products that we used is a Barnes Easycast, part A and part B. The part A is 18 kilos and the part B is 16.2 kilos. I can't remember exactly how much they cost, but I think it's around about 800 Australian dollars. Okay, hope you had fun with that. Thanks for watching.